So we're fortunate to be joined today by Elsie Garcia, who's an experienced project manager, particularly in relation to risk, government projects and more recently IT projects. So welcome, Elsie.
Thank you.
We've been chatting about the third phase of the risk management process, which is risk assessment and undertaking quantitative risk assessment, getting people together to talk about the likelihood, the consequence, and then ultimately assessing the level of risk. So from your experience, are you able to share some thoughts as to how you went about the risk assessment process and what sort of worked well, perhaps what not so well?
Yeah, okay. Well, first I was working in the government for 10 years in different positions. My last position was a team leader of a testing area in the information technology area. Well, when a requirement came to the area, first we brought all the experts for a meeting, and we start to share about what kind of problems could happen when we start to work in the requirement. But the problem is that we don't document anything because we feel comfortable with each other, and everyone has take the responsibility to solve the problem. And then the next meeting, just they say, "Hey, I solved the problem," and that's all. So,
I guess what the takeaway from that would be. Yes, it's important to have the right people around the table with the expertise to do the assessment, going through and coming up with their ideas and doing the risk assessment and using the qualitative. But the important key message is making sure that we document it, and that becomes ultimately our risk register.
Yeah.
So if we can then move to, I would imagine in IT projects in particular, under risk response, so responding to the risks that you've assessed, I would just imagine that the transfer option would be quite a common and popular option, transferring risk to a third party or a contractor. And we've learnt some lessons as a result of doing that. Are you able to share some thoughts around that particular option?
Yeah, of course. The institution where I was working, they make bids in order to get infrastructure, like a software or hardware. So when they did every contract, they put like a requirement, a warranty for 24 hours of service of the providers, a warranty for 1 year, and if we have some problems, they have to come to the area or to the institution and try to help how to solve the problems. You know, in information, in the area information, in IT, they happened a lot of problems about the servers or software. So it's important to have this contract, in this contract, the requirements about the warranties.
So the transfer option, writing it into a contract to ensure the warranty is then provided.
Yeah.
Did you have situations where sometimes the contractors then didn't follow through with that? So in other words, the transfer option perhaps didn't necessarily work for you?
Yeah, sometimes the providers they don't came too fast. So we have to create like a similar production environment of the IT where we put all the applications. So if they don't appear, we have everything ready and try to work on that. So this is our plan of contingency plan in the case.
Right. So you went for the transfer option, but you also still then had to have a contingency plan in place just in case the transfer option didn't work. So one of our key messages has been that transfer option is a viable option, but we should really only transfer to the party if they're better able to manage the risk than we were in the first place. So thanks for that share. I'd like to move then to the final phase of the risk management process, and we find it's always a challenge to make sure that the process remains dynamic, and that is monitoring and reviewing, because things will change on you over the course of your project. So again, if you could just share some thoughts around the monitoring and review and ensuring that I would imagine if you haven't got things documented, that's going to be a challenge, but also then engaging and keeping your internal and external stakeholders along the journey with you.
Well, now I think that it was a really big problem that we don't document any of this risk, because in the government where there are a lot of people who work like more than 10 years, so they know all the knowledge about what is happening, about the risks, about the problems, everything. So about what is happening if they leave. So the person who replaces, they have to know everything about what is happening. So if there are no documentation, how they know what is going to do in the future? And another advice maybe for them is like what is happening if this problem appear again. So they don't know what is the solution that they did in the past or something.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's very important if you document everything and monitor what is happening. And you have like a database of knowledge about all the problems or risk that you have to deal in the future, or maybe, and you know how to solve it.
So a couple of key takeaways for me then would be keeping it dynamic, but obviously having it documented in your risk register, keeping the team in place over the journey, and if you have staff members leaving, that creates an exposure for you as well, but you've got a little bit of a knowledge management issue, and ensuring that your stakeholders are engaged.
Yeah, that's true. This is
Excellent.
True.
Thanks very much, Elsie. Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you.
those thoughts with us.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.